Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm your friend Arman. So today in this video I'm going to discuss with you a very important topic of IPC, that is common intention and common object. Okay, common intention is dealing under section 34 and common object it is dealing under section 149 of the Indian Penal Code. Okay, so both of this topic talks about the joint liability, principle of joint liability under the IPC. Okay, so before I begin, if you are new to my channel, please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you find this video helpful, and if you have any queries, questions and doubt, you can ask me in the comment section, or you can follow me on Instagram. And I have created a telegram link recently, so you can join my telegram channel also. Do find that in the description box. Okay, so guys, common intention and common object. Okay, so we're gonna look at it in detail, and we're gonna look at the differences in between. Okay, so both of these are talking about the joint liability. Okay, so what section 34, the common intention talks about, let's look at it. Okay, section 34 of the IPC says, when a criminal act is done by several persons in furtherance of the common intention of all, each of such person is liable for the act in the same manner as if it were done by him alone. Okay, so this definition will be easy if we take the example. Okay, let's suppose there is a B and C. Okay, A, B and C, and A and B both are the thief. Okay, A and B are both of them are thief, and they have mutually decided that they will steal the property of C. Okay, and they went to the C's house and they stole some property from the C's premises. Okay, so here in this case both of these person will be held liable because they have the common intention. That means they have the common intention to steal. Okay, so the steal is that intention is the mens rea. Okay, so we have discussed in our previous class about the mens rea. So here the mens rea is to steal. Mens rea is to steal. So both of them has premeditated that they will commit the theft. They will steal the property of C. Okay, so this is stealing, and so since they have already planned and plotted out, so that's why they have the common intention. So now the liability, if they were caught, then A and B will be jointly liable. Okay, so here their liability is joint. Okay, so they will be convicted under section 378 of IPC, which talks about theft. Okay, so they will be convicted under the 378 IPC. Here he cannot say, suppose A cannot say that I did not took the property, I was just helping him, he took the property, then he should be punished. He cannot say that. Okay, since they both of them has the same intention, the common intention, so that's why both of them will be convicted under section 378 of IPC. So that's what the definition is talking about. Okay, when a criminal act, that means a theft, okay, is done by several persons. Several means more than one person. Okay, so A and B, the two person. Okay, several person in furtherance of the common intention. So to fulfill their common intention, the furtherance here means to fulfill their common intention of all, each of such person, A and B, each of such person is liable for the act. So both of them will be liable for the act, that is stealing, in the same manner as if it were done by him alone. So suppose there is only A, and A only steal the property, there is no question of A. Okay, there is no question of B. So A will be held solely responsible for committing the theft. Okay, so equally, so same thing, that B will be also equally liable for the theft. That's what it is talking about. Okay, so whatever the punishment will be given by the court, the punishment, the quantum of punishment will be the same same for the both A and B. Okay, quantum of punishment will be same. So that's what the section 34 talks about. Okay, so now let's look at the essentials of this section 34. Okay, so the essentials of the section 34 is there should be a two or more person. Okay, this is the prime essential, and the common intention to commit the crime. Okay, there should be a common intention, like two or whatever the number of the person are there, so they must have the same intention. Okay, all of them has the same unanimous decision or unanimous intention. Okay, common intention to commit the crime. Okay, and the criminal act must have been done in furtherance of the common intention, and whatever the plan they have plotted, so all of them has to act according to their plan. In furtherance, that means according to their plan all of them has to act. And number 4, the last essential is that participation in the action by the all accused. Okay, so all of them has to participate in that action. Like it is not necessary that the if they are going to murder someone, then all of them has to stab the person with a knife. It's not necessary. One person is sufficient, other is assisting him, so all of them will be convicted under the crime of murder. Okay, so that's what it is. So these are the essentials of the common intention under section 34. So one thing I want to tell you here is that, like, common intention does not define any crime. Okay, it does not talks about any crime. It is just talks about the liability, how the person will be held liable. So it talks about the criminal liability. Suppose the crime, so 302, that is murder. Okay, 302 murder. So if I murder someone, I will be liable under 302. Either I will be given the imprisonment for life or death sentence. Okay, so that is 302. But if while killing the person or while committing the murder, if I was in the group, like I'm coupled with 2-3 person and we went together and to kill the person, so in that case all of us will be convicted under 302. Okay, or we suppose as if we have been as if I only committed the crime, I will be given the punishment under 302, and my assistant, he will also be given the punishment under 302 as if he has committed the crime. Okay, so that's what it means. That's what it means in total, the common intention. Okay, so I hope it is clear to you. So now we'll see some case law. Okay. So in the case of the Barendra Kumar Ghosh versus Emperor, what happened in this case? There was A, B, and C and D. Okay, there were 4 persons who has mutually decided that they will go to the they will go to the post office to rob certain money. Okay, to rob the post office. Okay, they will go to the post office to rob. Okay, and they were coupled with the weapons. Okay, then what happened, like when they when they entered the post office, and any one of them has shot the fire. Okay, shot the fire, and which caused the death of the postmaster, and the rest of the A, B, and C. Okay, rest of the A, B, and C, they did not rob the money, but after shooting the postmaster, they escaped from the place. Okay, they escaped from the place, and D was standing outside the post office. I mean, at the the door of the post office. He was standing outside the door of the post office, and he was caught with the pistol. Okay, he was caught with the loaded pistol. So here in this case, what happened, like D said that, like, he did not shot the postmaster because he did shot the postmaster. Okay, and so he has not committed the crime, but the court rejected his contention and held him liable under the common intention, because all of them has the common intention. So that's why he was also convicted under section 302 for the commission of the murder of the postmaster. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, this is the very famous case regarding common intention, so do not forget it. Okay, and this topic is really important. Okay, common intention and common object. There are many questions I have seen in all exams which comes from this topic only, common intention and common object. Okay, so now we will see the common object. Okay, common object, section 149. Section 149, we will look into it. Section 149. Okay, so common object is dealing under section 149, and it is also talks about the joint liability. Okay, just like common intention, but there is a difference. Okay, so difference is that when 5 or more person commits a crime in persecution of the common object, each member of the unlawful assembly will be liable for the act in the same manner as if it was done by him alone. Okay, so in case of the common intention, there was a minimum requirement of the person was 2. Okay, and this could be up to 4. Okay, this could be up to 4, but in the common object the minimum number is required is 5. So 5 or more person. So, and it talks about the unlawful assembly. Okay, unlawful assembly which is not permitted by law. Okay, so there is a so section 149 talks about a crime. It defines a crime of unlawful assembly. Okay, unlawful assembly, and common object only talks about the you know, the mens rea of the same mens rea of the two person or more, two or more person. Okay, so in case of the common intention, sorry, common object, section 149, it says that when 5 or more persons commits a crime, okay, when 5 or more person commits a crime in persecution of the common object. So all of them, you know, all of them has the common object, like the group has the object, certain object to do. Okay, they have the motive, or say they have a aim to, you know, commit certain act. Okay, so common object, each member of the unlawful assembly, so that assembly, so more than 5, okay, 5 or more, so the 5 person is a group. Okay, it talks about the group, so it is a group, so and that group is unlawful. Okay, there is no permission for that group. Okay, so the member of the unlawful assembly will be liable for that act. So each one of them will be held liable if whatever the crime committed by that unlawful assembly. Okay, so in the same manner as if it was done by him alone. So all the members of that unlawful assembly will be, you know, jointly liable for the crime. Okay, so it talks about the unlawful assembly. So unlawful assembly means the assembly where, so you will find the definition of unlawful assembly in section 141. Okay, section 141 to section 160, section 141 to section 160. It deals with the offenses against the public tranquility. Okay, so any person who, any assembly which is against the law and against the public tranquility, okay, against the public peace and tranquility, so that comes under section 141 to 160. So any person who has committed the crime, and that comes within this section. Okay, section 141 to 160, whatever the crime is committed within this meaning, so the person will be held responsible. I mean, all the persons will be held responsible, and all the person will be convicted, and whatever the crime they have done, like the unlawful assembly can, you know, commit the riot also. Okay, so there are various cases that we can see nowadays in our country, that like Bengal violence and the Jamia Millia and the JNU, all that, you know, there were many, you know, people who has been conducting the unlawful assemblies, and they are committing lot of riots and all that. Okay, so those are the example of the unlawful assemblies. So there is no permission for that assembly. Okay, so we can also say that the recently the farmers protest, we can see in the Delhi that they have been protesting since many months, and that is also an unlawful assembly. Or any crime committed by them, so all of them will be responsible, or all of them will be convicted, whatever the crime they have done. Okay, as we have seen in the day of, in our I think 15th August, Independence Day, what they have done, we have seen they have, you know, like they have committed the riot in the Delhi, and they, you know, went to the our cultural heritage, Lal Killa, also Red Fort. They have done lot of riot there. So all of there were many, you know, FIRs has been lost against those, you know, persons. Okay, so those are the, you know, unlawful assemblies, and whatever the crime they are done, so all of the members who are associated with the act will be held responsible. So that's what the common object means. Okay, so now let's look at the essential of section 149. Okay, okay, so essentials of section 149 is that offense is committed, and the offense is committed by more than five or more person. Okay, and unlawful assembly, there is unlawful assembly, and the offense in persecution of the common object of the assembly. Okay, so the offense is committed, so the prime requirement is that there should be an offense committed by the group. Okay, and the group is committed, consist of 5 or more persons, and the group is unlawful. Okay, the group is unlawful. Okay, there is no permission from the authority for the construction of the group. Okay, so that is the unlawful assembly. And number 4, the offense is offense in persecution of the common object of the assembly, and the offense which is committed by them is for the common object, because they have the common object. Let's suppose they wanted that government should listen them, government should fulfill their demand, whatever. Okay, and the government should fulfill their demand. So these are the objects. So in order to fulfillment of their object, whatever the offense they commit, so every person who is in the group unlawful assembly, every person will be held responsible. All right, so that's what the common object is. Okay, now we will see a case law. regarding common object. Okay, here in this case, Queen versus Sahib Ali, what happened? The court held that, the Privy Council held that it is necessary that every person should have, there should be a premeditation. Okay, there should be a premeditated common object. Okay, like any person of the group commits any offense which is, you know, outside their object, and for which they have not planned. Okay, for which they have not planned, then the person will not be, the other member will not be responsible. The liability would be independent. The person only would be the convicted for the offense. Okay, so overall what it means is that the liability, suppose there is a 5 person, and they have decided they will, you know, peacefully conduct the assembly, they will peacefully, you know, give the dharna. Okay, give the dharna, and they will do the march, and this assembly is also not permitted. And what they do, like they were protesting against the government. They were more than 5% are there and protesting against the government, and one of them all out of the blue, you know, suppose committed a rape of a woman. So here in this case, so the person who committed the rape, the person only will be responsible, only will be held liable for that, because the common object of the assembly is completely different. Because the common object was they wanted the government should listen them and do whatever they are saying, fulfill their demand. So that is the fulfillment of the demand is the common object of the, you know, unlawful assembly. But the member of the unlawful assembly did certain, you know, heinous crime. Okay, another crime, one of the member. So here in this case, the only the person who committed that crime will be responsible. The rest of the member will not be responsible, because there is no premeditation or there is no pre-plan for this thing. Okay, so that's what it is saying, the Queen versus Sahib Ali. This case is important. Okay, and another case law is Musa Khan versus state. Okay, so here in this case, the Supreme Court says that Musa Khan versus State of Maharashtra 1977. In this case, the Supreme Court says that the mere presence or the innocent presence in the assembly does not make the person liable. Okay, so this is the simple thing the court has said, the mere presence or the innocent presence in the assembly does not make the person liable under the section 149. Okay, so it is very simple case. I hope now it is clear to you what is a common intention and the common object. Now we will see the distinction between them. Okay, let's look at the distinction between the common intention and common object. Section 34, 149. Okay, so the minimum requirement of the person is 2 or more person in case of the common intention, and in case of the common object, the 5 or more person. Okay, and so there is a common intention. Okay, there is a common intention, or you know, the 2 or more person will do the thing for the common intention, with the common intention to commit the crime. Okay, the crime could be anything. Okay, and in case of the common object of the unlawful assembly. Okay, so they have the particular object they will do, the assembly has the particular object. But in case of the common intention, they have the intention to commit a particular crime, but they have the object to fulfill. Okay, and in case and number 3 is that it does not create any offense specifically. Okay, it does not create any offense specific, because it is only the intention. Okay, it does not create any offense particularly, because suppose if 2 person commits a rape, both the person will be held responsible. Okay, and under section 34, because they have the common intention. Or if 2 or more person commits the theft, so both of them will be held responsible under section 378 of IPC, because of having the common intention. Okay, but it is in case of the common object, it creates a specific offense. Okay, that is the unlawful assembly. There is the unlawful assembly, they will do the in front of the public. Okay, they do the act in front of the public, and the, you know, assembly is unlawful, which is itself a crime. Okay, itself a wrong. Okay, so yeah, that's the difference. And section number 4 is that it is the joint liability. Common intention is the joint liability, but the number 4 is the constructive liability. Okay, it is not necessary the person should be do or not, like it is constructively liable, or the person will be constructively liable. Okay, so that's what the difference between common intention and common object. I hope I can make you clear about this topic. And yeah, if you find this video helpful, do let me know in the comment section. Okay, and if you think that I should be improving, or like I should do anything to make you understand more, then please comment down below. Okay, so this is all I could make you understand about this topic. So I hope you find this video helpful. So thank you so much for watching this video, and have a great day, and I'll see you in the next class. Till then, take care of yourself. Bye bye.